All right, if you're learning French as an adult or you've ever sat there wondering why être and avoir behave like chaotic toddlers, this episode is for you. Welcome back to my journey to Fluent French, and just to be crystal clear, this channel is not about me teaching you French. I'm not a French teacher, I'm not pretending to be, not even close. But after a year of lessons, homework, mistakes, victories, defeats, emotional damage, I do know a thing or three about learning this beautiful yet ridiculous language. So, along the way, you might still pick up something useful, maybe a new study method, maybe a new expression, or maybe you'll just laugh at my pain. Either way, you're welcome. So in today's episode though, I'm showing you the lesson notes from my second pre-apply session, plus my notebook where I do all my French homework, the good, the bad, and the very questionable grammar choices. So, here's how my French learning routine works. When my pre-apply lesson finishes, my tutor drops all the lesson notes into the chat in pre-apply via an attachment. I take those notes, I print them, yes, on real paper like it's 1998, and then I sit down and I properly read and understand them. I highlight things, I scribble all over them, I rewrite bits, question my life choices, the usual French learner experience. Then I do my prescribed homework in the notebook, which you'll see right now. And this notebook has seen things, trust me. So the next lesson will then usually start with a little catch-up. How was your week? How's life? Why are you still mixing up masculine and feminine nouns? The friendly stuff. Then we correct my homework, go through all my mistakes, and my tutor explains why I made them. Spoiler alert, there are plenty. So if you're learning French or honestly any language, you'll probably relate to a lot of this. We're all going through the same struggles, the same little wins, the same why does this verb exist moments. So my idea with these episodes is to give you a light-hearted, raw look at my own journey, so you're not alone in yours, I guess. And since I'm not a French teacher, I won't be giving proper lessons, but I will show you the things I've learned, methods, tools, mistakes, and who knows, maybe you'll see something and think, hey, that's actually pretty useful. Or maybe you'll think, wow, he really tried. Either way, I'll take it. And as always, I'm absolutely open to feedback, so don't hesitate to leave me a comment below, but just be gentle. I'm emotionally fragile. So let's get into it. My pre-apply lesson notes, my homework notebook, and another step forward on my journey to Fluent French. So apologies, you won't get to see my little face in the picture-in-picture video for this notes showing part of the video today, because the app that I use, something's wrong with the audio. So anyway, we'll just jump into it. This is page 1 of my homework notebook, and this is lesson 1 notes. So before we do lesson 2, I just wanted to quickly show you how I transfer, lesson 1 notes into the notebook from part of my own homework and self-learning before I actually get to the assigned homework from my tutor. As you can see here, I've just sort of written down sort of things that I've got off this sheet onto here that kind of I just wanted to consolidate, I guess. For example, ça dépend du temps means it depends on the weather, and the reason we've got du there is because you can't have de and le temps for a masculine noun, so it can't be ça dépend de le temps. You have to use this and then contract it to make du. As a comparison, ça dépend de la météo remains de la, because météo is the feminine noun in this case. So it doesn't become ça dépend du météo, it's de la météo. So that's the difference there. Otherwise, I've just written, when the weather is nice, what do you prefer to do? Just more consolidation. Quand il fait beau, qu'est-ce que tu préfères faire? Prendre le soleil is sunbathe, m'allonger au soleil is to lie in the sun, which is quite similar. And just other bits and pieces that I've sort of transferred off here. I've written those there, but I've also written them there. Like I say, it's more consolidation. Autant que possible, c'est as much as possible. These are quite similar. There's a masculine tout seul, all alone, and toute seule, all alone, masculine and feminine. Two different cases there. Yeah, just a few other ones. Here's another contraction example. Je vais, you don't say je vais à le café pour prendre un café. You say je vais au café because à plus le is contracté pour faire au dans ce cas. I'm going to the cafe to have a coffee. And in this case, café is a cafe and a coffee. So, but you have to say prendre, to take a coffee. In this case, that's just how we say it in French. J'aime avoir une vie tranquille. I like to have a quiet life. And j'aime vivre tranquillement. I like to live quietly. So very similar again, but that's just how we do it. Then once we flip the page, you can see I have the homework. Now the homework in the last lesson was, the question was, le sport est mieux que la lecture? And then I had to write a paragraph on this to answer this question. So this is my response. Je pense que ça dépend sur les objectifs en vie. Le 1, le sport est mieux si tu veux améliorer votre santé physique, mais peut-être, see, I can't even read what I've written there. Il ne fait pas stimuler et enseigner l'esprit. L'esprit is the mind. And then I've written sur l'autre main, on the other hand, la lecture est mieux pour stimulation mentale, pour apprendre de nouvelles choses, et parfois les gens l'utilisent pour relaxation, la quotidienne et le loisir. C'est difficile de dire lequel est mieux, mais tous les deux ont, so that was wrong, avoir should have been conjugated, because tous les deux, it's pluriel, so it needed to be ont, pas avoir, les avantages, voilà. So that's what I wrote in my own words, my own French, and then after that we go into the lesson 2 notes, and you can see here that, as I said previously at the start of the lesson, we'll just talk about, you know, general things, and once the lesson's printed out, after she sends it to me, once the lesson's finished, I then make my own scribbles on there. And then we've got here the introduction. This is the correction of my homework, which was this that I just read out to you. Yeah, so that's when we'll go through and talk about the differences or the mistakes that I've made. So in this case, I wrote, je pense que ça dépend sur les objectifs en vie, and the right answer is, or the right way to write it is, je pense que ça dépend des objectifs en vue. So d'un côté means on the one hand, le sport est mieux si tu veux améliorer ta santé physique, mais peut-être qu'il ne stimule pas et ne développe pas l'esprit. So that's the first paragraph there. And you can see there's a few differences in what I've written. So for d'un côté, which is on the one hand, I wrote sur le un main, which is on the one hand, which is like not correct, because it's like there's an actual phrase for that, not a word-by-word translation in French. So hence why it's d'un côté. And on the other hand is d'un autre côté, which is which I wrote sur l'autre main, on the other hand, which is wrong again. So you can see that's sort of how it all comes together. And yeah, if you were to have these side by side and you can actually compare the two, we have d'un côté, le sport est mieux si tu veux améliorer. La lecture est mieux pour stimulation mentale, pour apprendre de nouvelles choses, et parfois les gens l'utilisent pour relaxation, la quotidienne et le loisir. And the actual correct way is la lecture est mieux pour la stimulation mentale et pour apprendre de nouvelles choses. Et parfois les gens utilisent la lecture pour la relaxation quotidienne et pour le loisir. So you can see the differences there between what I've written and what the actual correct way is. And the last sentence I wrote, c'est difficile dire laquelle est mieux, mais tous les deux ont leurs avantages. Voilà. The right way to say it was c'est difficile de dire, c'est difficile dire, lequel, laquelle, c'est différent, est mieux et le mieux. Mais, I wrote mais, tous les deux ont leurs avantages. The correct way is tous les deux ont des avantages. So there's a couple of little differences there that, you know, we just go through and correct, and she tells me, you know, why it was wrong. And yeah, that's why I write it all down, and it just consolidates it in my mind a little bit more. So anyway, that's sort of the idea of how I do the homework each week. Yeah. So as I've spoken about, from my lesson 1 notes, I'll then transfer the ones that I feel like I just want some consolidation on, the phrases or the words, the vocabulary that I want to consolidate. And it's good for revision too, rather than having to pull it all out of these documents. I can just have it here and open it up and just work through the list from that particular day. So in this case, j'ai le nez bouché, is my nose is blocked. J'ai du mal à respirer. I'm having trouble breathing. La pluie ne me dérange pas. I don't mind the rain. La pluie ne me gêne pas. The rain doesn't bother me. Se changer les idées, to take your mind off things, autant que possible, as much as possible. Consiste à, consists of. Next page. Rouler à la campagne, driving in the countryside. Je me suis détendu. I relaxed. Je suis locataire. I'm a tenant. Je paye un loyer. I'm a tenant. I pay rent. D'un côté, on the one hand, d'un autre côté, as we've already said, on the other hand. And there's another one for on the other hand too. It's en revanche, which you may have heard before. Tuer is to kill. Sur le couler douce, taking it easy. Couler is to flow as well. So it's derived from that. Se fâcher is reflexive or a pronominal verb. Getting angry. Il faisait. It was, he was. Because il can mean he or it, depending on the context. Ça dépend du contexte. Du gel is frost. Lié is related. Mettre les voiles, setting sail. Être dans la lune, being in the moon. Rester les bras croisés, keeping our arms folded. Malgré is despite. Flâner is to stroll. A few more here. Finira, we will finish in the future tense. Ça me manque, I miss it. It, me, miss. It, I miss, depending on how you look at it. Se dérouler or se passer, to take place. Tu me manques, I miss you. You, me, miss. It's a bit reversed. And la France me manque, I miss France. La France, I miss. French, France, I miss. So that's the lesson 1 notes I've taken out of there, out of my notes from lesson 1. And now I will go through quickly lesson 2. So after we did the homework correction, we then set up a little quiz. Expression idiomatique liée au loisir. So related idiomatic or idiom expressions related to hobbies or activities. Number one, I had to pick prendre du bon temps means A, être en retard, profiter d'un moment agréable, apprécier la météo ensoleillée, or boire un café rapidement. So I had to choose from that what the correct answer was. And then it just went on to the next one as we just sort of went through. Se changer les idées means, to take one's mind off means changer d'opinion politique, or se distraire pour oublier ses soucis. If I turn the page, we've got at the top of this one, apprendre quelque chose de nouveau, ou faire les magasins. So I had to pick again. And then we've got this, the third quiz, little quiz. Tuer le temps means, signifie, gagner du temps, regarder le son arrêt, faire quelque chose pour passer le temps, ou casser sa montre. Et 4, le lever le pied means, signifie, mettre une chaussure, marcher plus vite, ralentir son rythme, se détendre, ou danser. And the last one, la coulée douce means, signifie, se fâcher, se détendre, profiter sans stress, se baigner doucement, ou aller doucement en voiture. So you just have to pick out of those ones what it was, just a little exercise. And then we went into a grammar reminder, where we had to do, there was a few exercises, and I had to go through and complete each exercise with the correct article, contracted if necessary or not. So choisis le bon article, complète avec du, de la, de, l'apostrophe ou des. And I just went through and wrote down what the answers were that I thought were correct. Next page, I had that just transfers compréhension orale to the next page. And then we went through, there was a text, a petit text, that was an audio clip, I suppose. And then at the end of the audio clip, there was a multiple choice section with, what I had to choose based on what I just heard, which answer was correct out of those three for each question. So that was kind of that. And then the final page, if I can turn it, looks a bit like this. So there's the rest of the questions for that petit text. And then we just did a little bit of work on the subjonctif présent pour être and how to conjugate it in each pronom. So que je sois. So normally it would be il faut que je sois. Il faut que tu sois. Qu'il ou que elle ou qu'elle, pardon, soit humeur, que nous soyons, que vous soyez, qu'il ou qu'elle soit. Le subjonctif et le mode virtuel. Il permet d'exprimer une hypothèse, un fait incertain, un souhait, une action envisagée, une envie, une émotion, ou, and I can't see the rest. So anyway, that was the lesson, and it's been a while ago, so I can't remember. There was no homework at the bottom of this, but sometimes she would send it to me separately in the pre-apply chat rather than on these actual notes, which, to be honest, works the same way anyway. Okay, voila. Thanks for watching, guys. That's lesson 2 in the books. Make sure you subscribe below if you want to follow my journey lesson by lesson, and leave a comment below with your strengths, your weaknesses, your wins, your losses, and let's build a community where we all get it. Also comment give me some feedback. That would be great on what you think about these lessons, what you hate, what you love, what you like, what you don't like. Feedback on my French, my pronunciation. These lessons or these videos are very good for me to go back and revisit the past. All this sort of French is always going to be relevant, so it's always good to re-see it, I suppose. And I can obviously always benefit out of that too. So anyway, I'll leave it there for today. Stick around because the next episode is lesson 3, and we'll try and do it in a bit of a different format maybe, just to keep it interesting. Anyway, for now, merci beaucoup et à toutes.